My name is Marian Josik, and I'm from the company Octonix, which is European affiliate of SAE ITC, Industry Technology Consortia. But today I'm serving IAMTS, International Alliance for Mobility Testing and Standardization. My guest today is Mr. Benjamin Koller. Mr. Koller is Head of Safety Global Homologation Services Germany at TÜV Süd Auto Service. Benjamin has been Head of Safety and Regulation HAD at TÜV Süd Auto Service GmbH since 2021. From 2016, he was active in automated and connected driving at TÜV Süd, establishing and expanding his department. He has been with the company since 2010 and has held various positions, including assistant to the board member for mobility at TÜV Süd AG and TÜV Süd Auto Service. In short, we have one very interesting guest today. Coming up. Hello, Benjamin.
Hello.
Did I pronounce it good? Benjamin or Benjamin? How do you
Benjamin. Everything is
Benjamin,
fine. So
you're a busy
yeah.
man.
So and very sorry for postponing our meeting so often.
It's not that bad. I understand that because at the end of the year, everybody is very busy to closing the year and doing a last things to reach all the targets and so I understand that perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and of course also COVID is currently a topic, and
So it's coming
some
back.
sick leaves. Yeah, it's coming back a bit. It's also a
Yeah.
bit more stressy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and in the meantime, we had some traveling. You was traveling. I was traveling. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Well, we have
some
planned it
some
for
some
a
events
long
like
time.
vacation and some.
Okay. Our friend Joachim Teiber, he told me the best person to talk to is Benjamin Koller, and there were a couple of questions that we would like to ask you for a podcast. Well, my first question is rather personal. What brought you in automotive industry?
Oh, it's a good question. So yeah, the first thoughts was yeah, after leaving the school, I just want to be part of the automotive industry. So creating, building, constructing, designing vehicles, and see
Uh-huh.
them later on public roads. But after my first internship by a very big Southern Europe German manufacturer, was a rethinking. So because of recruitment freezes, cost cutting measures, so I thought, okay, I will be more. A better place for me would be the traditional mechanical engineering part. So I focused more on construction, development, and uh, electrical engineering.
Uh-huh.
But then, of course, there was the crisis 2010, and that was the reason. Okay, I spread it uh, my job CV and my CV, and probably I got the chance to be by TÜV Süd, and so I'm since 2010 part of the TÜV Süd, so starting my career as recognized expert for PTI business.
And
So
can you tell me just in a short what is your role at TÜV Süd of TÜV Süd?
now I'm head of safety, so I'm responsible for the department regarding safety in the automotive sector. So we are doing um, assessments, inspections for complex electronic systems for UNACE regulations, but also we performing, for example, the services roundabout accredited standardization, so ISO 26262 for functional
Uh-huh.
safety, but also 21448 for SOTIF, because they will be more and more an important pillar for the new technologies like new powertrains, but also for assisted systems, but also AD systems. And this was the playground with in my last years. So I developed the field of automated driving within TÜV in an innovation project, HAD it was called. And since 2020, we have a business line dealing with automated driving, where yet now is the department safety located, and where we support our customers to bring AD vehicles, AD systems on public roads under the current regulations and boundaries.
So there is the focus, the automatic driving and all
Yeah,
the newest developments.
yeah, new technologies, new mobilities, and so on. Yeah. So the funny things, and where you have very much how it's called movements
Uh-huh.
and development processes. So the standards and regulations are not so defined and are not so in place and in force as, for example, the regulation for braking system or license plates.
Oh, okay. Well, when we are talking about new regulation, can you update us about regulation applicable for new vehicles under development? So not vehicles which are now on the roads, but something what is coming on the roads next year or in a couple of years.
Yeah. So, for example, Germany was in a very good pioneer position. So they brought the directive AFGBV, so the directive for automated vehicles, in place and bring it into force. And within this directive, you will find a paragraph which allows customers, so from startup, research institute to a manufacturer, to bring testing vehicles, prototypes with new technologies for level 4
Uh-huh.
driving on public roads. So this would be one very new paragraph to bring new technologies on public roads, but also the European Directive 2018/858 gives you the possibility with an article, I think it was Article 39, which allows you to bring vehicles with new technologies where no regulation is currently in place on public roads with using some exemptions.
So that is actually happening right now while we are speaking. There are some vehicles on public road.
Yeah, so regarding level 4, there's already some prototypes or test vehicles on public roads, especially in Germany, under the umbrella of the AFGBV, so the German directive for level 4.
Uh-huh.
Where they could test the new AD functionalities. So you have to write a development concept and then go through the process with KBA. So the approval authority will be the German Kraftfahrtbundesamt, so the approval authority in Germany. And then you can get an approval and a permit for the next 4 years to operate your test vehicles with level 4 AD systems on public roads.
That is interesting because I've heard about vehicles. I know that in Rotterdam, in a harbor, there are some enclosed areas with L4 vehicles. They're driving around on a pre-programmed route, and they can bring people from one stop to another stop.
Yeah.
But it is not on public. Well, it is it is public road, but it is enclosed within a company, so it is not actually full public road. This,
Yeah. Yeah, because then you have this controlled area, and
yeah,
it's the responsibility of the service provider or
okay,
the operator, and then you have, of course, much more levels of freedom what you
yeah,
allowed to operate on your public or on your roads. So it was, yeah, mostly the way to test such vehicles in the past, but now you have the first regulations which allows you to bring level 4 vehicles on uh, yeah a right regulation umbrella.
okay, that's interesting. And it doesn't matter what kind of weather is. It is not. It is all weather situation.
Yeah, so the German directive has no limitations regarding vehicle classes, no limitations regarding weather conditions or operating areas. So it's totally up to you, but you have to show as applicant that you are able to perform or operate such vehicles in a safe way. So this is the clue, how to bring then the arguments and the right evidences and proofs that you are able to do that.
Okay. Let's talk about promised benefits of automatic driving, like reducing traffic congestion being really one of the many ones. So yeah, there must be purpose. If you have automated driving, there must be a reason for that. So everybody hopes once when we are on automated driving, there will be no traffic jams. There will
Mhm.
be the life will be easier.
Yeah. So
What
the
is your
point
opinion
is,
about that?
I think it's right, and I think it will be so in the future. But the tricky thing will be the mixed traffic in the near future. So when you have the human-driven vehicles on public roads, but also you have some the automated vehicles. So there you will not see the benefit really. So, but by increasing the number of AVs on public roads, then you will have more and more the share of cooperative driving.
Uh-huh.
So you have planned and planned traffics, you have planned traffic flows, you have this possibility of V2V communication, and then you have a smoother traffic flow in public roads.
But
But
when can we expect that? Let's say if there is a 80% of automatic vehicles, L4s.
mhm.
Would that be moment that it will be a situation better than now, or you have to go to 95%, or
I think it will not be necessary to have this huge amount of percentage. I
oh,
think it will
okay,
be
even less
more.
than 80.
Yeah, I think it will be more that you have some specific areas where you have the vehicles operating. For
Uh-huh.
example, in urban environment, you will have some areas with bus shuttles or people mover, and of course, it's also sortable that you have, for example, on highways some lanes for, especially for example, for automated goods mover and heavy duty vehicles. And then you can have, of course, earlier the benefit of this automated driving.
Okay. So it's obviously you need vehicle-to-vehicle communication and coordination. That software have to be developed or is already developed, but that have to be implemented. But how about recognizing obstacles on the roads? That all is already in place. Because I can imagine if you are driving on the road,
Mhm.
you must have a lot of sensors on the vehicle, and then your vehicle have to recognize, is it stone on the road, is it animal, or is it person, or is it
Yeah,
that are so many variables. That's so difficult to cope with so many variables.
yeah. So this is the tricky point. So to have the right object detection in the vehicles, but also the right V2V communication, for example, so to warn other vehicles already earlier that there will be an obstacle or a traffic jam, so you're able to uh, redirect the traffic flow.
Okay, but can you also sense bikers?
Yeah, normally when you develop an AD system and you're describing the ODD, where the system has to be or should be performed and operated, then you need to do something like in function safety we call it hazard and risk analysis,
Yeah.
and then you know, okay, what kind of objectives could be in place when I'm driving in my ODD, and then you have to think, okay, how to handle these situations or scenarios. And when there is it able that, for example, there's a car on the public road, okay, then you should have systems in place and sensors which could detect, for example, animals, or which can then decide, is it a stone? What is the height of the stone? Can I drive over the stone? Or is it so that I have to change the lane to avoid a jam?
Oh my God, but there are so many variables. I'm from aerospace industry, and there is
Hmm.
everything is highly regulated. So if you are flying from one place to another place, everything is so regulated that it is very possible to fly. You just insert the flight number, and you can fly from Amsterdam to New York without interference of the pilot. But there are not so many variables like on the roads, although it is two-dimensional space, but there are so many different
Yeah.
obstacles. There are so many different
Stakeholders.
stakeholders.
Yeah.
So there must be a lot of computer power to calculate all those possibilities and all those hazards. So that
And you need the right decisions in the system.
and the
So
decision algorithm, yeah. And you
yeah,
don't know how many crazy people are driving around. You know, for example, if you have very sophisticated vehicle and you are in the transition phase from let's say now to fully automated driving, and there are some cars in the evening with the drunk drivers. That's almost impossible to sense and to cope with such
yeah, that,
situations.
yes, that's totally right. And from my opinion, this is also the reason why we don't see such vehicles currently on public roads. So that we only see some test vehicles, the first prototypes, or for example, with some like Daimler or BMW having the first ALKS systems on public roads.
Yeah,
This is the first steps in this direction and technology. I think this things has to be solved. How to handle mixed traffic, how to handle the computer power you will need for for building and planning your trajectory. No,
yeah.
yeah, or how to think about mobility in the future, because of course you can think of, to build such areas where, for example, only AD vehicles are allowed. Then I think it's more easier to increase the numbers and shows that automated vehicles can give the benefits everyone think about. So having this cooperative traffic flows, solve problems like um, missing specialists in the future. But yeah, such problems have to be solved in front of, and I think we will need some steps.
But then I understood that there are even companies developing scenarios for testing.
Hmm.
There are a huge amount of engineers just developing scenarios, and that I guess that is something what will never finish. That will always be continuous process of developing scenarios and new scenarios, new possibilities. At certain moment when you're starting to test those scenarios,
Hmm.
you you cannot test it with physical vehicles. It have to be done perhaps
Yeah.
virtual or do you have such development already at TÜV Süd, virtual testing or something what
Yes.
can speed up the test process?
Yeah. So we are in the field of the virtual method since 2017. So when we start highly automated driving by TÜV with our project where we develop the services for the future. And here, but also in the UNICE working groups, we see that the virtual methods will be more and more an important pillar in the development, but also in the type approval process, because manufacturers have to show that they are able to deal with all possible scenarios and variants and parameters. And this will not be able to solve by completely by physical testing.
Uh-huh.
because then you will develop a system, and then you have to drive the next 15 years to see, okay, what could be a situation I have to solve, and to operate and have the right decisions in place. And so the thoughts are already in the right direction to use simulation and the benefits of simulation, but you have also to be aware what are the minus points of simulation. And for that, we have some thoughts, okay, but TV as a tech company will not be the player who will perform simulations in the type approval process in the future, but we will be the part to assess independently the processes and the models used and the assumptions to do the simulation by the manufacturer.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Um, you're familiar with IMTS? What IMTS is doing?
Yeah.
What do you think? What is added value of IMTS? Because IMTS is independent organization.
Mhm.
What can IMTS contribute to safety or to development of new processes and with testing or
Yeah,
of vehicles?
I think, from my opinion, IMTS has the right vision and mission in place. So to produce and thought about challenges on a practicable way, brings the right people in a working group, in a small working group, work and think about how to solve the problems or how to solve and deal with the challenges. Produce first solutions, how it could work and what would be the best way to do it. And then you have in IMTS a very huge membership. So there are very many companies in place.
Yeah,
And then you take these solutions from the working group. So I think also the 5 working groups have the right topics.
yeah,
But then you have the possibility by the members to bring the solutions or, for example, the papers produced then in the next level in politics, but also in other working groups, for example, regulatory working groups, but also like normative ones like ISO or IEEE, then to develop and generate the right standards, so the international accepted standards as state of the art, but also to bring the solutions and proposals, for example, in the regulatory working groups, to bring these points also in the next UNEC regulations, but also, for example, in the European directives. So I think it's a very important and good work by EMTS. And yeah, it's useful to have this practicable thoughts and thinking, and not to deal more and discuss more in the right words or in the right grammar of the sentences,
yeah,
like in
yeah.
some other standardization working groups.
Yeah, it is neutral platform, and what you are mentioning, there are working groups, and my personal opinion is it is not only content what is produced, but also people attending those working groups. Once that when project is finished, they are actually expert in that area because
Yeah,
they have exercised almost everything regarding that particular paper, and that is also the way to spread the knowledge and have it spread between members, but also outside the membership base.
yeah, totally with you. So
Yeah,
another benefit is also the possibility of creating synergies
yeah,
to align the
definitely.
thoughts and but also to create the network with the right experts in.
Um, your opinion about test sites of test tracks, how you call it, the proving grounds.
Hmm.
There are so many proving grounds. The IMTS is having an idea to not only to have database of those proving grounds, but to give them some kind of certification volume to be able to say, well, if that car is tested at that proving ground in certain circumstances, it will be valid for other proving grounds also. So that you don't have to repeat testing on every continent and for every country. Is that a good idea?
And from my perspective, it is a good idea, and it's an important point, so that you have this catalog of proving grounds or test sites, and that you have an overview what requirements of the single regulations, for example, are fulfilled by each proving ground, so that you have these arguments when I'm testing a vehicle A on proving ground B. I can have the check for the regulation or for ALKS, for example, and don't have to show it on another proving ground or real world testing.
Yeah.
So life will be more easier having this in place.
Well, it is quite a long way to get so
Yeah,
far, but
of course.
the idea is good, obviously. Yeah. Well, Benjamin, thank you very much. It was really very pleasant discussion, and I appreciate your time.
Perfect. Thank you, and it was a pleasure, and it was my first podcast. So thanks
That's...
a lot for the opportunity.
Well, it is a historical date, so don't remember the date. It is 6th of December, 2023.
Oh yeah, I will remember.
Okay, thank you very much, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and hope it was in your expectation.
And
thank you.
I really enjoyed this discussion. It was really, it was not formatted with the questions, but we had just some free discussions, which were very fruitful. I've learned really a lot.
Okay, great to hear. It was a pleasure. So
okay,
looking forward, and perhaps we see again.
Yeah,